Welcome to this IDC Macro Tech video update. The generative AI boom that we have seen this month triggered the dawn of a new chapter in the digital business era, the chapter of AI everywhere. We see AI more and more adopted, and 80% of worldwide large organizations are already investing or planning to invest in the next 18 months in AI technologies. However, AI does not come without risk. Another reason why governments across the world are asking themselves the question, should we regulate AI adoption and development or not? So today, joined by our macro tech analyst expert, Elizabeth and Lapo, we really would like to provide you a snapshot of what are the main AI regulation and policy we are seeing around the world. And when we do that, we need to start really starting from Europe, because that's Europe where we have seen the first really AI regulation framework that is called the EU AI Act. So Lapo, I call you, tell us a bit more what this AI Act, European one it is.
Thank you, Andrea. Absolutely. The EU AI Act represents a landmark for tech regulation, as it is the first legislation on AI systems made by a large regulatory body. And it once again reaffirms Europe's leading stance on regulating the applications and development of technologies, more or less as they did with the GDPR. So the AI Act is a risk-based regulatory framework that targets providers of AI systems to European markets, even though they're not based in the EU, as well as users, developers, distributors, and manufacturers. It identifies 4 risk categories. The first one is the unacceptable risk category, which includes application that involves subliminal practices and social scoring systems, and this application will be banned. The second one would be high risk categories, which include applications such as biometric identification and critical infrastructure management. And such application would require strict compliance with the Commission's mandatory requirements. The third one is the limited risk category, and it includes chatbots, content generation systems, and deepfakes. And this application will require transparency obligation, especially disclosing that the interactions are AI generated. The last one is the minimal risk category, where actually most current AI use cases that are used in Europe will fall. And so one example is AI-enabled video games. And this application will be left largely unregulated. So all in all, the AI Act aims at improving data quality, promoting transparency, accountability, and ethical use of AI systems, while fostering innovation, by also reducing legal uncertainty. So the legislation was approved last June in a plenary vote, and it's projected to come into force in early 2024, providing also a 2-year transition period for developers and providers to adhere and comply. And it will be then in the hands of member states to designate national authorities and to actually enforce the legislation. Back to you, Andrea.
Super. So there is indeed some time, as you said, but for organizations that are working in Europe to adapt, but not that much. So it's better to be prepared. So thank you. So let's try to find an opposite kind of example. So for doing that, we need to fly to Asia actually for that. And so let's look at Singapore example. Elizabeth, tell us a bit more what's happening there.
Yeah, so thank you, Andrea. Singapore is actually on the opposite side of the EU, and the government currently says that they're not looking to regulate AI at this moment. This, of course, does not mean that AI ethics is going to be completely ignored, however. And in fact, Singapore was one of the first countries to ever adopt an AI strategy and propose voluntary ethics frameworks. And its main voluntary ethics framework now is called the Model AI Framework. And this framework articulates common AI ethics principles, legal liabilities associated with AI, and also has a number of supplementary documents such as the Implementation and Self-Assessment Guide for Organizations, which details specific applications and scenarios for AI ethics. So overall, the relatively loose approach of Singapore is trying to protect innovation, incentivize AI development efforts, and also maintain an economic advantage while still allowing for other countries to take the lead on regulation, which it will eventually follow.
Super. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. And indeed, interesting So I know that you looked many countries across the world, but maybe we have no time now. But before we wrap up, let's maybe spend a couple of minutes on the US example. US really on the leader front in terms of AI adoption as we look at our survey across the region. So what's happening? How the AI regulation landscape is evolving there?
Right. So the US has a very mixed approach thus far, and there are a number of initiatives both on the federal and the state level. But as we see right now, the federal regulation is still pending, even though they also still have a number of voluntary frameworks. But the key bill under consideration right now is called the Bipartisan Framework on AI Legislation. And this will basically provide the foundations of a legislation equivalent to the EU AI Act. And this will include a risk tier. Similarly, it will have a licensing regime for high-risk AI. It'll have an independent oversight body, legal protections to firms for third-party content, transparency obligations, and a number of other protections around human rights issues. For voluntary frameworks, however, we see that it's already gained a lot of traction, namely the Ensuring Safe, Secure, and Trustworthy AI list of voluntary commitments. And this is a list of 8 AI ethics commitments that major players such as Adobe, NVIDIA, IBM, and more have already signed up to. On the other hand, on the state level, we actually already have a lot of very specific laws around applications of AI. And this includes California's laws against deepfakes or Illinois' AI Video Interview Act, which regulates AI in hiring processes. So overall, the US regulation landscape is currently mixed, and there's still a balance that needs to be struck between innovation and regulation. But in the future, we do see that US regulation is going to evolve into more highly unified and general approaches akin to the EU. Back to you, Andrea.
Thank you very much. It's really fascinating to see how, the spectrum of country approaches to AI regulation is so broad and even different among them. So all in all, as IDC, we do believe some AI governance is needed. And that's the reason why we are building also our own IDC AI governance framework that really pivots around 5 main pillars, which are employee education, existing governance framework extension, and then developers guide, and also monitoring and transparency statement. So this IDC AI governance framework, together also with the extended picture of what we present today, is published as part of our IDC Worldwide Macrotech CIS. So if you want to know more about that, just get in touch. And also, please do make sure to register to the upcoming worldwide and regional FutureScape, where we, the IDC analyst community, is going to share the main prediction for the years to come, and also explain how really AI is leading to this full reimagination across the technology industry. Thank you very much. Looking forward to hearing from you.